Tonight, warning flags are going up in Texas, where Senator Ted Cruz is fighting to hold on to his seat.
This year, Christmas might come on November the 5th. And while Kamala Harris's numbers keep growing, there's another Republican who's sucking wind bad.
I'm pissed.
Ted Cruz has a long history of weakness, insincerity, and, did I mention weakness?
If I could say, remember Lion? I won't say Lion Ted. I refuse to say Lion Ted.
Donald is a bully. The man is utterly amoral. A narcissist at a level I don't think this country's ever seen.
I'm proud to have worked hand in hand with President Trump.
Cruz's pathetic laydown for tiny fingers after Trump insulted his wife's looks told everyone what they needed to know. What a pathetic figure Teddy Cruz is. And now, the end is near. For the first time in the campaign, a poll shows Cruz trailing Democratic Congressman Colin Allred. The poll places Allred, who is a moderate North Texas Democrat, a point ahead of Cruz with likely voters. And it's true this happened in 2018 when Beto O'Rourke narrowly lost to Cruz. However, this time around, Teddy's been targeted by 24 Democratic groups who consider this seat one of the most flippable in the Senate. And Teddy's also running with the additional Cruz baggage, including that infamous family trip to Cancun while hundreds of Texans died in a winter storm, one of the state's worst natural disasters. And in classic Cruz style, he threw his kids under the bus, saying it was their idea to go to Mexico.
I'm pissed.
While Cruz has led in recent polls, he's had trouble crossing that 50% margin, generally viewed as troubling news for an incumbent weeks before an election. And it's so bad, Cruz will have to debate Allred next month. But the real concern for Ted Cruz is this. Every day the guy is on the planet, people like him less. And when you're running for something, that catches up.
You have delusions, but I thought it'd been cured a little bit by the primary process. But last night he really thought this was going to be Reagan in '76, and it's going to be the perfect prelude to 2020. And I don't think it's going to turn out the same way. Do you?
No, I do not. I'm beginning to understand why Ted Cruz has been hated by everyone, every place he's ever been, from kindergarten to the United States Senate.
Ted Cruz isn't just disliked, but his position on guns after the Uvalde shooting and his stance on choice have made him hated. I mean, like Ann Coulter says, the guy is despised. And then there was this.
More bad news for Fox News. MSNBC last night airing audio recordings between Republican Senator Ted Cruz and a Fox News host discussing his plan to challenge the 2020 election results.
I think that the country deserves to have a credible assessment of these claims and what the evidence shows. And mechanism to try to force that is denying certification on the 6th.
He was trying to stop the legitimate election of Biden, and in doing so, fed the insurrectionists the lies and bullshit they needed.
The election that just occurred was rigged.
The guy is always on the wrong side of history. If you remember the Uvalde shooting in Texas, the deadliest school shooting in Texas history, was followed by Cruz calling for the arming of teachers in classrooms, even after police, confused and concerned, were slow to enter the school because they had no idea where the shooter was and what the shooter looked like.
There are 19 sets of parents who are never going to get to kiss their child goodnight again.
Is this the moment to reform gun laws?
It's easy to go to politics.
But it's important. It's at the heart of the issue.
I get that that's where the media likes to go.
No, it's not. It's where many of the people we've talked to here like to go.
The proposals from Democrats in the media, inevitably, when some violent psychopath murders people,
a violent psychopath who's able to get a weapon so easily. 18-year-old with 2 AR-15s.
If you want to stop violent crime, the proposals the Democrats have, none of them would have stopped this.
But why does this only happen in your country? I really think that's what many people around the world they cannot fathom. Why only in America? Why is this American exceptionalism so awful?
I'm sorry you think American exceptionalism is awful.
The most effective tool for keeping kids safe is armed law enforcement on the campus.
We as educators do not want more weapons in our schools. We don't want more bullets flying in the middle of chaos. We are not trained killers. We are not trained to shoot while we're trying to protect our students. We're asking for better laws to be enforced to keep us safe, not throwing more things for us to have to do.
Ted Cruz is a little man who so desperately wants you to think he is tough.
I'm pissed.
But that's so far from the truth. 40,000 Americans die each year from guns. We average a mass shooting every day. And Ted Cruz just shows you he's truly the NRA's bitch boy.
This is a made-up problem.
Even when Cruz attacks Kamala Harris, he sounds like a little boy standing behind Trump's huge ass, his penis tucked back, his lip quivering.
Kamala can't have my guns, she can't have my gasoline engine, and she sure as hell can't have my steaks and cheeseburgers.
He's a pussy. That's terrible. Terrible.
Ted Cruz is in real trouble. Money is pouring into Texas, and even the Republican Party's most notorious conservative is backing his opponent.
So why are you campaigning against Ted Cruz?
You know, I feel that this race is such an important one. I have not endorsed in any other Senate race this time around, but I served with Colin. I know him. I know what kind of a congressman he's been. I watched him, as you said, we were on opposite sides of issues and opposite sides of the aisle. Not every issue on opposite sides, but I also know Ted Cruz. You know, I've known him for over 20 years, and I know that he will say anything if it serves his own political purpose.
I'm pissed.
So what will Teddy do? Well, what can he do? But the bigger question is, will Allred's victory over Cruz bring down Trump? Harris has Texas within the margin of error, and you haven't seen Trump campaigning for Cruz, and you won't. The relationship between Cruz and Trump, despite my hatred for both of them, is sad and pitiful. On one hand, you have Tiny Fingers, a pustulant skin tag of a human who will say and do anything to anyone to get what he wants. And then there's Cruz.
Consider the claims, consider the facts, consider the evidence.
A spineless daffodil in a field full of bulls. And after Tiny Fingers attacked his wife, he became a literal Trump cuckold.
And the media desperately wants to see.
If Harris continues to prove she has the goods and the momentum to beat Trump,
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that.
You gotta ask yourself, what will happen to these little boys who set aside their values and character to worship this sociopathic, racist, rapist, traitorous wafflecock?
America has always been best when she is lying down with her back on the mat. Don't let anyone try to convince you otherwise.
And now these boys are on the precipice of a long, hard fall back to reality. And that reality?
I'm pissed.
Marco, Rand, Nikki, Holly, Dairy Queen. After Trump loses or strokes out or whatever, what will these sycophants do? Well, probably what they've always done and do best. Grab their ankles and offer them up to the next human disaster.
Goddamn right.
I'm ready. Let's go.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Trust me.
Shut the fuck up, Darren.
Who's with me?
Oh, yeah, the lie.
Indictable.
Out of sheer morbid curiosity, I'm allowing this freak show to continue.
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.